Are we live? Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. No one's watching yet, but I'm Angela O'Hare, your favorite Las Vegas realtor.
Hey, and I'm Rob Howell, Las Vegas realtor.
We need to think of a new tagline for you.
Well, you know how.
Rob Howell.
Yeah, you know how. That's me.
Exactly, because you used to do the Rockstar Realtor and you're kind of switching the taglines a little.
Yeah. My website is now how.
Oh, okay. Do you still have that other one that we use the same guy that developed the website?
I actually changed out from him.
Oh, okay.
Went to another company.
Perfect.
And my site needed a whole overhaul and redo, so I took an opportunity to look around and see what
That's
I wanted
good.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I have had mine for 6.5 years, so it's hard to change.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. You're doing really well. I needed to, get to where yours is at a little more.
Right. So what you've been up to?
Just a lot of things, little things here and there.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Yeah. So this weekend, I took a weekend off for the first time in probably ever.
Wow.
And because, as agents, we just don't ever get time. And I needed that mental time off to really just unwind because I was getting very stressed.
Yeah.
And
get crispy.
And I even turned down a couple clients that wanted to look at houses over the weekend just because, my mental sanity right now is if I don't ever say no, then I can't just keep on going.
Yeah.
Right. I need to take some time off. So all day Friday, Damien and I, the weather was we hit a record high for April of 94 degrees.
On Friday,
we hung out all day poolside. Saturday was cloudy and windy. And then Sunday we hung out. So it was like a stay vacation where 2 days I didn't even get in the car and drive anywhere, which was nice. I'm a homebody, so I like to stay home. And Sunday we hung out poolside. So it was nice to work on my tan.
Yeah, you got a little color there. Good.
Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to work on my tan was, have you ever heard of that Real Producers? They have a magazine that publishes monthly, and they also have the top 500 agents.
That sounds familiar.
So 2 years ago, I was featured in the interior of their magazine.
Okay.
But this year, I'm going to be featured as the front page.
Nice. Wow.
On the front cover.
Cool.
So we're taking photos this week. So I wanted to make sure I had a little color in the photos to be on the cover. That will be produced in July of this year. So
congrats.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And then also, I don't know if you know this, I ranked 72 out of 15,000 agents for first quarter last year.
I'm not surprised at all.
So it's been crazy.
72. I would have actually thought even higher. You're really killing it.
No, 72. You mean lower?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but there's also those other agents that have the big teams that are producing.
And that is probably a good majority of those bottom ones is their team. And so they're under one name, but they have several agents working for them. Yeah.
Exactly. But enough about us. We are going to really dive deep into the market update. Rob just posted a video yesterday.
Yep.
What was it called?
I did a live video. It was the Las Vegas update. It was like emergency is my thing. And the onslaught continues. That's what was my my little tag there, which is referring to listings. What's happening with inventory. Yeah,
and I think that would be a good topic to discuss as we go in with the numbers about what we're seeing, obviously.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I think that the March numbers were pretty good.
Have
you looked at the March numbers?
I did, absolutely. And and that's kind of why I did I wanted to juxtapose what I thought was, yes, you have a good report here. We'll go over that. We have some fairly decent numbers too. But here's what's happening since then, right?
Right. And I have speculations why I feel it's funny that you had that video, because before that I decided, which I had never done before in the past, was for each number of closings for 2024, 2022, 23, etc. I wrote it down so we can compare, as well as the new listings. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to show you kind of yes and no. It's not as to me as dire as you are, but you look at the numbers every week and
Yeah.
analyze it on a daily basis, where I look at it as a whole on a monthly basis. So you see a little more of what's happening than when I come and do the market update for the month.
Yeah, and I definitely, to attract people to watch it, I'm gonna, give a little fluff to it. I don't know if I would call it necessarily dire, but I do think that there are sellers out there that are gonna take risks right now.
Yes.
Doing
Yeah. And
things.
it's all about the listings. It's all about, and recently I have done some videos on pricing your home right,
Mhm.
right? And when the best time is to sell your home, because the key is, one of the most important factors is not just about other things, but the most important thing is pricing it right.
Yeah.
And then the other things are important, but we're going to talk a little more about what sellers need to expect during this spring selling season.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I just feel that we are seeing something different. And the one thing that I didn't go back and do, which I'm glad you did, after the video, I thought about, I should have, gone and done some numbers on because I just would say, you got to take my word for it. This is what's been happening,
Right. So I went deeper, just after seeing the numbers. I went deeper to analyze, because, I'm all about trends.
Yeah.
And our biggest thing, we've been doing this for 5 years, going on 5 in August. Our biggest thing was always talking about trends, right? And this spring selling season is defying the trends.
A little bit, and in a big way, in one particular way, which is that we've already alluded to, which is inventory. So.
Exactly. So let's get started on how many closings happened last month for March. So last month, there were 2,142 single-family homes that closed, which was up 20.3% from the prior month and up 2.9% from the prior year. Mm-hmm. So to me, March was a good month for sales.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think there was some inertia coming out of the beginning of the year. You got a lot of those that went under contract February, even January.
Right.
But that's not a bad thing at all. And I would love to see more of that continue.
Yeah. So what I did was, we used to I do this for other things, but I wanted to delve deeper into it and compare it to the years past, because like I said, this spring selling season is defying the trends when it comes to the number of listings. And years past, for 5 years in a row, if not even more, maybe 7 years, we have been very anemic, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
And this time of year, we've had more homes on the market than we've had in years past. So we kind of want to discuss why that's happening.
Absolutely.
Right.
And where that could be going and what it would mean for you.
Exactly.
That's all the stuff that I see.
So March of 2023, we had 2,082 closings. So we're slightly higher this March than last March.
24?
March 2024. Yes.
2,082. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for March 2023, we had 2,361 closings for March. And then here's where the heavy hitters were. March 2022 was 3,272 closings. And in March of 2021 was 3,726 closings in March. And those were the anomaly because of that time of what's going on with the market during that time.
There was definitely more buyer activity, as we know.
Interest rates were much lower.
Rates were better. Prices were lower.
Yep.
The one thing that you had going on there that was starting to happen a lot, which was inventory was low.
Yes. So it didn't start creeping up until after the interest rate started hiking up.
Yeah, it really was starting. That was the cause of prices going up as the years went in, was inventory being low, basically, in my opinion.
Yeah. So as you can see, from March 2025 to March 2024, there wasn't much of a difference when it came to closings. We had slightly more closings this March than March of last year.
Yes, a little bit more. Overall, that's a good thing.
Right.
I think you'd like to see that trend continue and say, okay, that's a good springtime
number for closings.
Yeah, we're going up. We have more than last year, which was a low volume. Obviously, we're seeing that volume each year go down. So to see it go up is good. But is it keeping up?
Right.
With the listings it feels like the sellers want to come out and play.
Yeah, exactly. And it will tie into the last 3 months of market updates, what we've been saying. January and February, actually, and March, what we were saying about the sellers and why the sellers are listing, right?
Absolutely.
With that said, the median price remained the same at 485,000, which is 3 months in a row that it's maintained 485,000, which is kind of shocking to me.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of inventory that's going up. I guess we're still stabilizing, but to remain balanced, it's kind of a good sign, though, that we're not increasing, but we're not decreasing either.
Yeah, I think I think that what we're seeing is that the properties that went on market that sold, these were the ones that those buyers are looking for and were willing to pay for.
Right.
Right. They weren't so worried about paying, a top dollar at that point. Like if it's top property.
Right.
And so that's what I think is happening. You've got a lower amount of volume. So when those sales are good because they are good properties and selling, and you're not really seeing the overhang of the inventory that isn't great being sold. Now, what's going to happen when we start to sell some of that inventory that's hanging around?
Yeah.
I don't think this median price sticks for long.
No.
That's what I would say.
And, at the end of December and January, I was predicting that we would hit over 500,000 this year. It still could happen.
Possible.
But because this is such an anomaly, a different trend, a different market than we've seen in the last, as long as we've been doing market updates, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I may have to be changing my tune. We hit like you said in your video, we hit the ground running in January. We jumped up 20,000 in median price,
Yep.
So I felt the momentum, but now the momentum is kind of like,
Yeah, it's and there's a number of factors. I think the big factor is that the interest rates haven't been all that friendly.
Right. And plus also Trump, tariffs, Trump stock market, Trump this, Trump. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, certainly those things. Yeah, no, the tariffs for a week there, we jumped up. The bond market went nuts.
Yeah.
And that affects interest rates in a negative way.
And also people were hesitant about where the uncertainty of the economy and what's going on with Trump doing all of this all of a sudden, right?
There's certainly that's a factor. There's no doubt that when the head of the country has certain things go on, there's going to be that's injected into things. But I think there's a number of things that have been there. And one of those things is the fact, what we've talked about, these sellers that want to come out and play. That's not necessarily anything to do with what the president's doing. That's just where people are finally at when they can say, I would like to sell now, for whatever reason that might be. Yeah,
I mean, most of them bought pre-COVID, and they've been in the home now for 5+ years.
Yeah.
So the typical average time in a home is 7 years.
Yeah.
So they're now ready, or unless they have other medical issues or family issues or need to move out of state for work. But the sellers are out to play, as I've mentioned in the last 3 market updates, right?
Yeah.
And another thing too is, while I have it in my head, was I feel the reason why we had such higher inventory in January, February than we had in the past was because of the fires in California. The sellers were being a little more proactive in thinking, well, these buyers need places to live.
Yeah.
So let's put our houses on the market. Let's try to capitalize on that rush of people trying to find a place to live because of the fires.
Sure. There's not. Have you seen a lot of investor sales going on as far as like ones that were rentals and now? So that would indicate, that would be a big indication of a sell-off. We have a different kind of sell-off. What I think is happening is that we're just getting back to what was traditional numbers on the market. I mean, we've been a growing town, but yet our listing inventory hasn't been growing. It was actually decreasing a lot.
Right.
We just didn't have enough inventory. Now suddenly we're at a point where I think maybe we're getting back to a traditional number.
Yeah, I mean, because again, we're going against 5 years of craziness.
Exactly.
But
there's some balancing out happening.
But the thing is with these new tariffs, what may happen, especially for new construction, like we saw in the COVID days, especially early on, was not being able to get a lot of the stock in the inventory, especially for appliances, windows, doors, wood. And that's what, in my opinion, started the price increase of things because of the supply and demand for those products.
That was a huge.
So if we rely heavily on getting these products for new construction homes, especially if we get our wood from Canada and Canada's being tariffed, then we may see an increase in new construction. Now, also the reason why, and I didn't realize this until someone said it, and then it all made sense. You ever wonder why Summerlin prices for the same home tends to be $300,000 more than anywhere else in the valley for that same home? Well, because the land is a lot more, and the builders have to buy the land for a lot more than if they were to buy land somewhere else in the valley. So, well, it's because of Summerlin, but because of Summerlin, that land is more expensive.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you've got top area in the town. So
we got a couple questions, but I want to just real quick finish up with this median price. So what that means is that we had a 4.3% increase from the prior year in median price. So last year, March of 2024, the median price was at $465,000, which was a $20,000 median price increase, still pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And March of 2023, the median price was $425,000. Yeah. So that's huge.
Yeah.
2023 was the worst year in real estate in a very long time. Then we started seeing the momentum increase by the end of 2023. But then in March of 2022, the median price was $460,000. So we're still above the median price for March of 2022. And the peak of the market for that time frame was May of 2022 at $482,000.
Right.
So then in May of 2021, the median price was $363,000.
Yeah, real. That's
March of 2021.
March. Yeah. So that's the when you have an expression that's happening where you're going to see more higher median price, that's what you would expect.
That was almost a $40,000. That was a $37,000 median price increase
in just like 3 months or 2
months. No, it was a year over year.
Oh yeah.
March 2021 to March 2022.
But it was a $25,000 increase from May. I'm sorry, from May or March to May, right? So that was a big movement back then. I just was going to point out, oh gosh, what was it? Where was I? Shoot, I lost my track. So we had that big decline, right? In 23, right? Yes. You remember what that was,
and it stayed 425 that spring. Remember, it was very flat and it kept on saying that 425, 425, 425. And then by like May, I think it's when it started to go in that upward movement.
Yeah. And there was a big reason. It was interest rates prior year had started. Everybody got the word that it was going to start coming. And, that's where we saw a little pause from people. But we still saw, I remember very well that it was not a lot of inventory back then, even though.
It was like 1.6. And we'll go over it. Yeah. I have it for during that time frame, the inventory. March of 2022 was 0.6, and then March of 2023, 1.8.
So there you go. That tells. Anyway, I guess I jumped ahead. I apologize.
That's okay. That's a good point. Is that we hit our lowest, right? We hit our highest in May of 2022. We hit our lowest in December of 2022 at 424,500, and then we hung around that 425 for a few months. And then after that we just started going back up again. All right, let's answer some of these questions.
We got some. Let's see what we got.
Momentum seems to be slowing these last few weeks. I don't know. I haven't seen slowing in momentum, but again, I've been busy since I've hit the ground running since January and haven't slowed down. But there could be some momentum slowing. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I think that if you're working with buyers that you've been working with that are ready to go and they're buying, that's, I have some of those people too. They're going to buy, they're ready to rock. Where I am seeing is maybe, for me personally, just not as much like, hey, I want to get in and dive in right now. A little bit of like, let me see what happens.
Yeah, a lot
You know?
of buyers, because of what happened with the whole when the tariffs were announced and then the stock market took a deep dive, people became very scared and they're like, I don't want to invest in real estate. I don't want to.
I think that's lunacy for people to do that, because real estate is one of the most secure things. Although I understand saying I don't want to get in at the top. If you can say I'll wait a little bit, see what happens.
Some people use part of those investments.
Oh, for sure.
To purchase the home.
That is a big deal. That is that. But a lot of that has recovered, not completely, because we've been in a down stock market year, but we did have a recovery there.
Right. Remember when it did? I mean, God, how long? What was it? 23 or right after 2022? In 2022, when it did the same thing.
Yeah, there was a big decline at that time too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables and factors. I think some of this has been baked into the cake for a little while. If we're talking about like a slowing, a momentum slowing, I think this has been baked into the cake for a little while.
I don't know. I think to me, seller confidence has boosted, and I think it all started with the California fires. I don't think if they didn't, sorry about this, such a tragedy, but if that didn't happen, I don't think there would be as many listings, and I think we'd be in a kind of totally different market, in my opinion.
You may be right, and it may even be that there would be even less volume, because I think that California is still a big contributor to what we end up having as buyers. So a lot of these people that are coming and planning on coming are definitely coming from that state.
Yes.
And they, I haven't heard the complaints stop. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't, and even some of the crazy things that they want to enact and do that are going to cost people money there.
Yeah. You want to read the next one?
Sure. The tariffs are destroying. Tariffs are destroying the housing market. I'm someone who put my home on the market in early March, just before tariffs went into effect. Big mistake. Well, you could have never predicted, I suppose, that you would have that. I mean, really, you want to take a look at where you are listed, what's happening there.
Yeah, there's other factors involved.
Yeah.
Because houses that are move-in ready, priced right, have decent upgrades and a decent location are still selling.
Yeah.
If your home is overpriced, and we'll talk more about that.
Sure.
There could be other factors involved.
Definitely hard to know. And it usually comes down to price. And it can be disappointing to know that, hey, your neighbor across the street sold for a little bit more than what you might want to sell for right now. But I think you want to read the tea leaves right now and make a strong choice to get it done, depending on your situation. If you can wait, you can wait. I don't know if that's the greatest idea right now. That's what I would say.
Right. Yeah. Rob says bond market's down 30 plus basis points since 1/1/2025. We've been on this trajectory for a bit, economy showing, etc. Our annual debt $2+ trillion. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
The tariffs aren't destroying the housing market. We've been on this trajectory for some time. Yeah, but people have been saying they've been on this trajectory. How long have we been listening to the doomers, right?
I mean, he's got a little bit of a point. Here's what I'm going to say. And this is sort of separate from I'm very glad that we're getting a lot of comments today too, by the way. Thank you.
That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
But so one of the things I would say is that he's got a point about like, this may not just be about tariffs, although it is in a way, because what it is that I think that when you have something that comes along and you've already got people nervous about where the economy is, and then you cap it with something that like says, "Ooh, this is starting to shake the infrastructure or concern the structure a little bit more." Now you have, so it is a previous problem or problems,
right? That
we're saying, "Ooh, maybe we're bubbling a little bit. Maybe these markets are bubbling." I'm not talking real estate as much as I am Wall Street and things like this.
Exactly.
These are very, very. These markets have really climbed a lot, just like other markets. And so when you see something that comes and puts weight on all of that, I think that's what makes people nervous,
right? More
so they're going, can we hold up? Can we continue to be okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is the tariffs. It is scary chaos that is in office, but it's also the idea that, we've been trying to fix it. I mean, inflation, they've been trying to fix for years.
5 years.
Right? So that's to me.
Well, actually, since 2022 is when they actually started.
When they acknowledged
3
it.
years,
Right. Yeah.
They've been trying to tame inflation for 3 years, and have they done? I mean, really?
It's still a problem.
It's still a problem.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So I don't know if these are the right moves at all, right? I'm not that qualified to say if these things that are being done are the right moves.
Right.
But I do think that a big changes, no matter who does them and how they're done, are going to scare people. Whether they're the right moves or the wrong moves, it's going to create, fear.
Yeah.
Because it takes big stones to make big moves. Right?
I mean, it's always about, and Damien says this too, about policy changes. Remember back in August when we had the policy changes with the NAR lawsuit? Yeah, I mean, there's always every time, but then we get used to it and get acclimated and then just get back into the normal way of life.
That's certainly what I would hope happens. And I would certainly also hope that for benefit, there is benefit. There is benefit for all of us.
Right.
And even if we see a softening in our market, which I mean, we will talk about that more, for example, in the real estate market, does that benefit people? I think it does. The more people will benefit, because you might have people that are sitting on the sidelines start coming into the fray, especially if you combine that with, some lowered interest rates, which may not happen for a little while.
And the nice thing about having so much inventory, it's not good for sellers, but it's really good for buyers.
That's what I'm saying.
Buyers have more control. They have more purchasing power. They have more, if you have a great agent to really just knock out some deals, unless it's one of those houses. Now, oftentimes I always say, if it's only been on the market a few days, I don't know if I would risk on offering a lower price. Wait till it's been on the market. After 30 days, that's when you as a buyer's agent and you as a buyer can just really pounce and get some really good deals.
Well, yeah, for sure. And some of these properties, even the good ones, still are on the market a little longer.
Right.
It's, it's not the time where we'd say, well, we can get this done in 2 weeks,
right,
or even less necessarily. But those ones stick out to me as opportunity. And, again, I think unless you're a seller that just bought recently, for the most part, many of these sellers have equity.
Yes.
And it's going to be getting around a mental decision in your head and saying, well, what do I really need to walk away with? Are you really in a good place? Even if you have to lower your price a little bit, you should really think hard on that. If I was a seller right now, that's my message.
Right. Let's see. We want to read the last few comments.
Yeah. Where were we?
I very much know.
Okay. I very much know. I have a lot of friends that are financial advisors. We are very aware that the economy has been trending for some time. Okay.
Yeah, it's been trending like this since 2022.
Yeah, Vegas is just catching up to the other markets that have already been downward trajectory. The migration from California is starting to ease. That's a fact. These are cycles. Blame whoever you want. The California thing is interesting. I don't know that it's easing as much as maybe just staying about the same.
I get calls all day long from California.
Yeah.
I mean, this weekend I got from area code 310 about 3 different phone calls from 3 different people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if we're really going to see a slowdown from California, but what we do know is that we don't have people that are from Las Vegas being able to sell and buy as much.
I've had a few, but most of my sellers that I've had, they were relocating out of state, but one seller was buying a new construction home. Okay. So, I don't have many sellers. Most of my buyers are from out of state, Pacific Northwest. I have a few, Vegas clients as well, but they were transplanted from California, rented for a bit, and now are buying.
The trend I'm seeing, and certainly that even when I'm dealing with sellers here in town, they are in a good position. And they are really just deciding, this is what I want. And I don't care if it costs me a little bit more right now, or I'm using cash to do it. If they're using cash, they don't care about the interest rates, right? So they sell their home. Maybe sometimes they don't even have to sell. They can hold on to it and then buy a property and then sell their home after they buy it. Yeah,
I always analyze my sales and what type of financial it was. And I get a lot of cash buyers still.
Yeah.
It's still very, very common right now. Because one, I do work with people that are boomers and Generation X people that are well established, that have the money.
They're coming from higher markets.
Yes.
So to them, our market is not, especially you said Pacific Northwest, you said all the places.
Lots of Oregon people want to relocate here, Seattle, and of course, all of the California people. And then I also get people from the East Coast too, because they don't want to move to Florida because everyone and their brothers moving to Florida, and Florida has its own issues.
Yeah.
Right. So there will be no inflation. There is only deflation going right now.
Rob said that. Yeah. Rob says there'd be no inflation. There's only deflation. That may be true. We're going to have to see. It would be very nice to know that, the housing market has a big deal to do with inflation. So if rents aren't going up, if, prices of houses aren't going up, this is why I'm saying, like, I don't think this is a, the sky is falling situation.
Right.
But I do think there's some, stuff you need to know if you're a seller right now. And then from there could be some positive things for buyers.
Yeah, I think, like I said, with every new policy changes, there's like heartache, and then we get used to it, and then we move on, and then we just keep on going back up. I mean, you know what I mean? The cycle of life.
Especially if you're somebody that's like, I'm not even selling this year, don't worry about it. We'll find out what happens next year, right? It could be a very good year next year. So
do you think, Angela, from Todd, do you think Zillow is inaccurate on what they say home prices is? Zillow is called a Zestimate, right? And they just take data, they don't analyze if there's a pool, they don't analyze the upgrades you put into it. They're only database, and they sometimes only base it on the current homes that are listed and not the current homes that sold. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I do usually, when I take on a listing, I'll use Zillow to look to see what Zillow says, because most buyers love Zillow, and they love that Zestimate, and they think Zillow is accurate. So I got to kind of see, first we run the comps of the most recent sales in that community, if there's nothing outside that, and then I kind of see what Zillow says. Because again, a savvy buyer is going to think that's the true number or the value of the home.
Yeah, everybody's looking at Zillow.
Yeah,
sellers look at Zillow. Even myself, if I just want a quick, I don't do it anymore. For years I haven't. But if I didn't have what I have, the tools, which is just something that sends me an email every month that tells me what I've set. But I've set a bunch of very personalized parameters.
Right.
So if I didn't have that, I'd just be cracking up in Zillow every now and then, going, "Oh, what's it say?" And I'm not even curious at this point. I use Zillow in this way. I say, I'm going to go do my comps, just like you said. I'm going to look at that first. Yes. I'm going to not look at Zillow. And then I'm going to go look at Zillow, because once I have my idea of what I think because I've done the work now, because everybody's looking at that. If I go to a listing appointment without a Zestimate in my hand, that's kind of crazy.
They've already know what the number is already.
Yeah. So I want to slide that in front of them right away and go, I know you look at this. And most people go, yeah, okay, that looks about where I last looked at it or whatever.
Right.
And if they don't, fine. Okay, well, that's what Zillow says. But here's the reality. And sometimes the reality is, hey, that's pretty close.
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's higher.
Sometimes it's higher. Sometimes it's way off.
Yeah.
There's definitely different, and depending on your home. So like a tract home that might have had a lot of similar sales in the area,
right,
Zillow's going to be pretty close.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be pretty close on those, because it's got a lot of similarity to it can pull from the numbers. But when you're talking about like a custom home or something that's, not a lot of sales, and that there's specifics to that home, like you mentioned, that it's not picking up, that were put in and not put on tax records. Now you got to do some work.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just that it's a Zestimate. It's a good tool to use, but it's not an accurate tool, in my opinion. The most accurate is getting a market analysis or comparative market analysis from your real estate agent to give you a better idea. And then we kind of compare it to Zillow as a last resort, just to see if we're in that ballpark. Now, if we're above Zillow and we know it's worth that above Zillow, then I will not show or advertise Zillow's Zestimate on the Zillow. You can do that, right?
You can go in and tell it to
the MLS, you can say that you don't want it to show on Zillow, because your price is right, but people are going to be looking at that Zillow price and saying, well, Zillow says this is where I think the price is. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Yeah, you can say whether or not you want the CRM or whatever.
Yeah.
What is it? Computer generated value on there.
Yeah.
I forget how they say it in there.
All right, one last one, and then we'll get to. I thank you guys so much for being very interactive, but we got to get these numbers going. It's already at 12:34, and we are not even halfway done. Want to read the last one for Rob?
Sure.
And then Phil,
this might have been directed to me because I can't remember. Yeah, I was the one who said I don't know if this is a good or bad news. Hey, Rob says you're going to say you're not going to say whether or not these tariffs are good or bad move? Question mark. Right. What? I'll say it. They are very bad. Or are we suddenly now trusting a felon who has declared bankruptcy? You know what, Rob? You don't know. I mean, just the fact that you're going into a whole political rant about it. You don't know as much as I don't know.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's pros and cons to tariffs, but if the tariffs work as they're supposed to work, there could be some positive advantages to them. I don't support I mean, I never was a Trump supporter. I didn't support Biden either. But in the way, from what I understand, and I'm not smart, I thought the point of this was to help with our income taxes, so we don't have to do income taxes. Did you hear that?
I'd heard, some baloney about that.
But anyway, we're not going to talk political. It could hurt. Again, it's an adjustment period that we have to get used to. But once we're used to it, we'll move on and continue to grow. It's growing pains.
Well, the last thing I'll say about tariffs, and this is actually good. Right now, from what I understand, last I checked, it's only on China. Okay, there's only and they removed it on a big portion, which is all the tech, all the cell phones, yes, all the computer stuff. So it's not even tariffs on a big, huge portion of what people really, really do need and want from them. And then there's this. So it was like, hey, we're going to do it on the whole world. And then he pulled all the way back to just saying it's just on China. I think there's still nothing on Canada or Mexico.
Yeah, I think to me, it's really going to affect the Chinese market more so than our market. And the point of it, get me wrong, is to help build jobs in America and use American products, American made stuff.
That would be ideal. Again, I don't know if any of that's going to work. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right. I'm not qualified to know these things.
We're not politicians.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the numbers.
Yeah.
Now,
I guess Phil was there.
Yeah. Is there any way to find pictures of your home's previous listings from years past? Yes, we can. If it's still in the MLS, we can see the previous pictures, but not you as a consumer. You can't see those pictures.
It might still be up on Zillow.
Very seldom. If it only has the most recent.
Yeah. So, well, what do you mean the most recent?
So if you had your home listed, but you want to see what the pictures look like before you listed it, it's only going to have the most recent.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, of course. Yes. Once you have a new listing on, then it wipes
out. Right.
Yeah. So we can go in the multiple listing service and look
exactly. At them. Yeah. I don't know if I want to talk about condos. Do you want to talk about the condos?
We can whip through it.
All right. So let's see.
Condos, what did they do? They went down.
Let's go to the numbers.
No, they went up.
They went up. Yeah. Let's talk about condos. So the median price for condos went from, where am I?
303.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So the median price for condos and townhomes in March went from $303,000 to $306,495, which is up 1.2% from the prior month and up 8.5% from the prior year, which means basically that we've gained almost 24,000 year over year in median price in condos. In March of 2024, the median price of condos was $282,000. So they hit the peak of the market last year. I think it was in August at $315,000. Was that the 315?
We had a
huge increase, and then we went down. So now they're just trending back up because, again, if they can't afford a single family home, people are looking into condos.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the condos that are selling are nice higher end condos. This is not a surprise to see it go up just because it's not even at the highest median that it was.
I mean, and to be honest with you, to find anything decent under 300,000 in a condo,
especially in the Summerlin area.
Yeah. I mean, Summerlin. There's this one nice condo that I can't remember. It's in the Canyons Village, 335,000. It was gorgeous, nicely updated. So you can find some decent between 300 and 400,000 condos. But you got to remember condos, yes, they're cheaper in price, but they have higher HOA costs.
Yeah.
So, in reality, to me, it's kind of like a balancing act because your HOA can be $300 a month. So are you really saving anything?
It depends on the lifestyle, right?
Right.
Because like sometimes people they're removing, I'm not going to pay for landscaping.
True.
I don't have anything on the exterior to worry about. I get a pool, I get a clubhouse, I get a workout room, whatever,
Right.
you know. So some of these things they could justify by saying I'm going to save some money by not having those.
True. All right. That's enough about condos.
Yeah.
You know, the luxury market, we had 172, which to me was a good number, a very strong number. Homes that sold over $1 million. And we know $1 million nowadays really isn't luxury, but we're going to still stick to that. And compared to February, we had 139 homes that sold over $1 million. So that was a 33 home increase, but the median price in the luxury market remained flat at $1,425,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So that there's more sales, but
quite a few more sales.
Yeah, quite a few.
That's a big movement. I can just say that. Well, I mean, should I save any inventory stuff for later?
We're getting in the inventories, but
Okay.
I did remember hearing yesterday when you said that we were over the 1,000 mark.
We're over 1,100 mark. Yeah.
But the dollar and the price points have increased. So is that really a true, like, scary moment that we're over 1,100 homes?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's scary. I think that it's still relatively pretty stable. I do think it suggests, though, that you have a little bit more to choose from in that, and that every little bit counts in that relatively low amount of inventory.
Yeah, I mean,
for luxury listings. That's what I'm talking about. But
yeah. Speaking of luxury, real quick.
Luxury.
We're going to be talking just real quick about new construction. You know that Ashland by Taylor Morrison? They've sold like 27, 28 lots already.
Yeah, they're booming.
And, you know, a lot of people, single story, 3-car garage, larger single story homes, those are like the bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
They sell like hotcakes.
Those Gen
X,
Gen
Suites.
Suites.
Gen Suites, yeah.
Yeah, next Gen Suites in there. And so, yeah, those are hot sellers.
And then I was showing client houses down in Summerlin South, Ascension, Over Ridge. And the Glen Rock by Toll Brothers, they finally announced the full pricing, and their smallest single story, which is around 2,800 square feet, is starting slightly over base price. That's just base price at $1.5 million and change.
Okay.
That does not include your lot premium, your elevation, structural options, or upgrades. The bigger bad boys are starting in that $2 million range. Yep. So it's kind of crazy to think where new construction is in Summerlin, that for the most part, besides the KB home community, Caldwell Park, and Alton, they're starting in the $1 million range for new construction.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I guess I've come home to that for a little while now.
I know. It's amazing how much Summerlin over these last 5 years have tremendously appreciated.
Yeah.
We were showing homes in Sandalwood over in the Stonebridge Village, which is Tri-Point Homes. And those prices started in the 700 range, and now they're in the 2 million range. Then you have next door, which is Scotts Pine, which is an all single story Richmond American community. And those are selling in the 3 million range. So it's amazing that when you bought those houses in 2019, 2020, you have gained some serious equity. And that's why I always bet as a sure thing, regardless, because of Summerlin running out of land, they only have about 2,300 acres left of land that the appreciation is going to continue, especially when Sony Studios and Warner Brothers take over in Town Center.
Yeah, Summerlin's just going to be, it's going to be just fine. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's very insulated.
Yes. When it's all about inventory,
but it's not all of Summerlin. It's mainly the newer parts of Summerlin, Summerlin West and Summerlin South. Summerlin North is where you can get some really good deals, but you don't see those huge appreciation as you do west, just because of the close proximity to the canyons and the freeway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. The only thing that I've heard anybody say negative about, and this is going to be solved on an eventual basis, is about the West, is that you don't have that shopping, you don't have that close by commercial yet. It's all coming, but they want to build houses first.
But if you think about it, for $2 million, you're getting a cookie cutter home. I mean, you can customize the interior, yes, but the lots are closer. And the reason the lots are closer is because there's not much land left. So, but you're paying $2 million. I watch a lot of those, like Selling Sunset, Buying Beverly Hills. And at that time, it was 2022, 2023. For $2 million, you get like some nice lot and everything.
But were they weren't builders that were doing it.
No.
Like they weren't the national builders building over there.
Hold on, I'm going to text Damien to send me water.
Oh. So those are those homes, and that's the big difference.
But most of those homes are very custom, like
right.
Nice.
That's what I mean. You're talking about a lot of custom stuff. That's the big difference that I think in Vegas the national builders have really taken over, and so this land that gets built out, you're rarely seeing. I mean, here and there people build custom homes, but and other than these, like what is it now? It's not a Maya anymore. It's it's something with an A again. They changed.
Oh, Amara. It was Amara, and it's now Amara.
Okay, something.
Amara. Amara.
Okay. So unless you're talking about a huge, difference like there, where you're talking about these custom, very expensive custom lot neighborhoods,
right?
This is what you're going to look at. You're going to look at, I guess you call them cookie cutter, but they're
well, the lots up
custom.
there in Amara is like 3 to 4 million, but you have the stunning views.
I think he said
Astra.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Astra.
I knew it was something.
LOL. I thought it was Amara. Amara is a devil name. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
All right. Anyway. So anyway, if I were to buy a custom, I would buy in the 89129 zip code or the 89149 zip code, because I want the land. I want to have a big lot so I can have a pickleball court, a tennis court, a big pool. I want it all. And then an RV garage, because I want to get one of those vans that are camper vans or whatever, like the Mercedes camper vans. They're called camper vans.
There's
well, they have the Winnie Bagels. Names. They have all kinds Winnies. They have different kinds of names. But I want some land, right? I want it away from people. I want it to have land. If we had an apocalypse, I can have some chickens. Like
get those eggs cheap.
I want to have my privacy. Anyway, let's get into the numbers.
Oh gosh, what are those called? Jet something, not jet. Someone help.
For what?
Those vans, they're
I thought they're called camper vans.
That's an old school Sprinter. There you go.
Sprinter vans.
There you go. Thank you.
Vans, yes. My goal after I pay off my house is to get a Sprinter van and then go travel, but they have to have a bathroom and a toilet.
Oh yeah.
But
a bathroom and a toilet? Wait a minute.
I mean a shower and a toilet.
Okay.
They have to have a bathroom in it because that's the point. I don't want to be anyway. So my goal is to buy in the 89129 where those custom lots are, Lone Mountain area, or a little above in 89149, and have a little more land not associated with an HOA, so that I can just live.
Got to do that quick.
Yeah.
Those parts are
those are in the millions now.
Yeah,
a lot of those houses.
Sucked up too.
Yeah. I went looking with clients, and they're in that 1.4 range, and that's not even the bigger lots, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now let's continue. Where are we? We've just been going so off topic today, and we still haven't even talked about seller advice.
Oh yeah. Well, let's let's
No,
knock it out.
let's knock these numbers out
Yeah.
first. All right. So now this is going to be the interesting factor. We're going to start talking about the new listings. There were 3,340 new listings for the month of March, which was up 19.3% from February and 22.6% from year over year. So that is very significant.
That's just the start.
That's the start, right? So 3,340. Now, again, I wanted to analyze this even further and look at the prior year listings, right?
Mhm.
So March of 2024, we had 2,724 new listings. March of 2023, we had 2,565. But March of 2022, we had 3,526. And March of 2021, we had 3,566. So we are back where the number of listings are comparable to March of 2022 and 2021. But the only problem here is the interest rates are much higher and we don't have that buyer demand as we did those years. So that's why even though we have a significant amount of listings, it's still comparable to a few years ago, but we don't have the people to gobble it up. So what's going to happen? Inventory is going to increase.
Inventory is increasing, and I just think.
I mean, we're having the sales, but not enough to eat up the inventory that's coming on the market.
That's it. That's
so
the message.
What I'm saying is, and why I'm saying sellers are coming out to play. This messages that I've been saying for the last maybe 2 market updates is seller confidence. Sellers are ready. They're ready to move. They've been in their house now. They're having that 7-year itch. Even though they have great interest rates, they're ready to either relocate, downsize, upsize. They can afford it. Maybe they have 100% equity where they can buy cash, right?
Sure. Yeah,
so that's why the sellers are coming out to play.
Yeah. And so if you're going to come out to play,
this is what you need to do. Right?
You got to be smart with your pricing right now. If you're knowing that you're getting more competition and you have still basically the same buyer pool, like level, then I think you just want to be a little more aggressive with your pricing.
It is definitely a buyer's market right now, and it's going to be a buyer's market for a while until we get a tame or a hold on the inventory. As sellers, you need to be smart, and if you haven't done any work on your home in 30 years or anything, you need to be smart, get your home ready, hire a home inspector to see where you have flaws, get those items fixed, declutter, get rid of this shit. All right. Start depersonalizing, get rid of the stuff that you've had for years. I mean, it feels good and it's freeing to get rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is, though, your home has to be show ready. Because buyers are going to be picky right now, and they're going to be looking for homes that are move-in ready, that don't need any work, or if they do need work, minimal work, right?
Yeah, and if you're not going to take that advice, then it's all about the price,
right? But that advice goes hand in hand with the price, because it has to be priced well, but you also have to do those other things to get top dollar to sell fast.
If you're not going to do those things, then you're going to be looking at discounting the property a little bit. Now, here's the good news, though. We're not talking about iBuyer discounts. Okay.
Right.
Now that's where people they'll hear what we're saying and go, fine, I'll just sell it to this company that's been mailing me because they're still out there, but they are giving lower and lower offers right now.
Yes.
Number one, I've been seeing that like crazy. And number two is the biggest thing. You're losing money big time by selling those. You're selling to one entity instead of putting it out on the market and allowing the market to come and bring you multiple offers for your property. I guarantee that's the way you're going to get the most money out of it. So if you don't want to do anything to it, just make sure you're priced right. It'll sell.
Yes.
But don't ask for too much if you're not willing to do the things that will bring it up to.
And we'll get into, days on market and what to expect as a seller. Another thing I want to mention too, as a buyer's agent, I show a lot of homes, and the biggest thing that I've noticed is sellers putting like those Glade plugins or the Bath and Body Works plugins. and the smell is horrendous because they put it like 5 in one room. And
Yeah.
we walk in and we're like, me and my buyers are like, nope, we don't even look at the house because the smell is so overpowering. Oftentimes when a house is overpowering with those smells, it's telling me as a buyer's agent that they're trying to hide other
Cover up.
smells.
There's a cover up.
There's a cover up. I was showing a video yesterday of a house for a client in Sun City, and I couldn't get over that smell. And it just is, it's not even comfortable looking at the house because of how gross it is, right?
You got to hit them with the sights, sounds, and smells.
But the smells don't need to be overpowering because I still can tell, have a smell. My nose is very good, and I can still smell the pee on the carpet from the animals.
Yeah. That's a tough one. And sometimes what happens is people will go in and have the carpet cleaner come in. Right?
Oh, that makes it worse.
And then if you don't have the right carpet, the carpet's cleaned properly, where it's actually getting rid of that smell, then it's going to actually bring it up.
Yes.
And then as we get a little hotter out, especially in a vacant property, maybe it doesn't have the AC on high enough, it'll start to fester.
Yeah. So as a seller, maybe put 1 for the whole house and not 10 or 5 in each room or 2 in each room.
Don't overdo it.
1 is enough. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now the availability. So there were 5,416 single family homes listed without offers in the month of March, which was up 3.6% from February and up 63% from the prior year. So again, this is what we're saying when we started this market update, that these numbers are not your traditional trend numbers that we have been big on for the last 5 years. This is an anomaly for a trend for this time of year. So I want to go over again what the theme is, the years past days on.
Let's check it out. Yeah, that's the proof in the pudding, because I can do it from memory a little bit, but not remembering every number.
Yeah. So March of 2024, we're at 3,323 listings without offers. March of 2022, we're at March of 23, we're at 4,196, which we're kind of comparable to 2023.
Not too far off.
And then March of 2022 was 2,005. And in March of 2021 was 1,772. These are all single family homes listed without offers. So we were very anemic 2021, 2022. We did see increases, but this is the most inventory this time of year we've seen in a long time.
5 years that we've been doing it.
Yeah. So again, the listings are coming on the market. We're getting more listings, but we're not having the sales to gobble it up. So the houses are staying on the market. Now, this is just single family homes, not including condos and townhomes, which that number is.
The last I checked, it was close to 9,100.
Yeah, 9,100. But then on a bigger scale of things, we're in a population of almost 2.4 million. Is that a lot of inventory?
It's just a lot now, and it means that you got to be careful, because if that does keep going, where I would be concerned, and I said this on previous videos of mine, is if we have the same demand, but we're up around 10,500, 11,000, which was a traditional number, several years ago. Yeah, several years ago. That would be where you're starting to go, okay, sellers are starting to have to really knock their prices down to get buyers, the ones that are there, to come in and play ball.
Right.
Now that could spur more buyer activity too, so maybe that balances out and it's fine, and but that would be where it'd be like, oh, what's happening now? So we're at 9,100. We're still well off of where I think that's a big concern.
Right.
That being said, if I'm a seller right now, I'm not messing around. I'm not going to play with what the future might say or do for me if I don't have to.
Yes.
I'm going to go book a deal right now.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Listen to your agent. Don't overprice your house, because what's going to happen is, as I say in all my videos, the first 2 weeks is the most crucial. And if you overprice it in those first 2 weeks, and then you start decrease, you are in a world of trouble, and it's going to take months to sell your home.
Yeah, and you become a target. You
Yeah.
become like this, like my buddy David, who I had on. He's like, yeah, you're just a sitting duck for somebody to come along and try to lowball you, and that might be all you see if you try to stay up in the nosebleeds, right? Where you're not. If you're not getting showings, number one.
Yes.
Like, duh.
Number one, if you're not getting any showings, it's priced too high.
Yeah.
And that's where people, and this has been a thing like the doomers used to say for the last 3 years, you'll see price decrease after price decrease on Zillow. But my thought is the only reason you're seeing all these price decreases is it was overpriced to begin with.
Absolutely.
And the buyers are smart and savvy, and they're not like that was in 2021 and 2020 when they were overbidding and paying for way overpriced.
3% rates will do that
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
That'll help you do that. And those people ultimately ended up being smart. A lot of people thought they were crazy for overbidding on those properties.
Remember, we had clients in the fall of 2020 were saying, we think the prices are too high, we're going to hold off. Well, those people were probably sadly kicking themselves in the wishing that they bought during that time, because they've gained a lot of equity since then.
Absolutely. And now you have buyers that are almost out of force, have to be smart, because many of these buyers, especially the heart of the market where there's sales in the, let's say, I don't know, 400 to 700 range or something. They're squeezing it in. They want to make this happen, and they don't want to walk into a house that they got to come in and fix up, spend a lot of money on, clean up the dog pee.
Yes. Right. To think about it, if you buy a $400,000 house at today's interest rate, their mortgage payment's like $3,000, and that, to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the way that people are making that work is by putting more of a down payment, right?
But if they don't have it,
that's what people are trying to do, right? I think a lot of people.
I'm talking about for like millennials and people after the millennials. I forget what Gen X.
Most people are, even those people are trying to get some cash together and put some down payment,
or they have their parents help them out.
Yeah, they're trying to avoid having to pay that full mortgage payment, because that does hurt. So now, because they're putting so much down, once they're in the home, the last thing they want to do is spend $3,000 on something else.
Yeah.
Right?
And even to do any upgrades nowadays is an arm and a leg, because of COVID was the culprit. And ever since then, everything just went through the roof.
Sure. So good news for sellers. If you have something that's really ready to go and hot and tasty in a good area, now that is going to command probably near top dollar.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So,
fast. But
still, don't overprice that. Don't think that you're going to get, way over the last sale. Right. Maybe price it at or near. And then, so that's the good news. But if you don't have all that, and you know that your house needs a little love, price it accordingly. You still will be able to sell it.
You can't price it to a house that has the upgrades and think it's apples to apples, right? Yeah. You're going to have to price it, even though it may be the same floor plan, but they are highly upgraded and have a pool. You can't list your house for that price.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. If you really are serious. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, look, I got time. I'll wait till the end of the year. I'll wait till next year. I'll list it for a whole damn year. I don't care.
Right.
Fine. If you're one of those people, it's a different story. But if you're like a lot of the people, which I want to sell, and then I want to turn around and buy, go ahead and sell your properties for, as quickly and grease that wheel, right, so that you can turn around and use this market to buy.
Right.
That's my advice. That's our advice. Yeah. Yeah. Or my advice, and I hope her advice.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So now we're going to talk about months of supply. Now, this is an interesting number.
Okay.
I don't think this number is correct.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, I don't know.
I don't know what the freak is happening or why they came up with this number.
Yeah.
But they are saying that the months of supply is 2.5. And last month we were at 2.9 months of inventory, which is now at 2.5, is 13.9% down from the prior month, but 58.4% above the prior year. So I think that is an incorrect number.
It may be a typo of some sort. Yeah.
I think it's 3.5.
I would not. Yeah, I would be thinking that. That's
if we have 5,400 inventory, if we had 33 last year and it was at 1.6, well, then maybe 2.5 may be reasonable. But how can you go from 2.9 for February, but then our inventory increased by 200 or 300 homes?
Yeah.
How does that
I-
decrease to
I'm-
2.5?
Yeah, I'm not. That's the one that has made the least amount of sense that we've ever done to me.
Yes.
Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
But I don't trust it.
Right. And so I always like to, again, go over, this is my new trend, what the months of supply was for March in the last 5 years.
Yeah, this is very telling.
Yeah. March of 2024, we were at 1.6 months of inventory. March of 2023, 1.8. March of 2022, 0.6. And March of 2021, 0.5. So again, this year is an anomaly because I thought we would have been trajectory with the trends for 2023 and 2024 and hang out around that 1.5, 1.8 months of inventory. But again, we have more inventory than normal. So we're seeing more months of supply.
Yep. Simply said.
Yeah. But I don't think that it's 2.5. I think it's either 2.9 or 3.0 because we had a 200 home increased, but we also had more homes. So anyway.
Yeah. And I
can't figure that
what
one out.
I'm following along definitely is not that number. But
yeah.
whatever.
All right. Last on the market update, and then we'll get to some questions, is the time on market.
Okay.
So 56.9% of the closings was on the market 30 days or less for the month of March. 53.2 was on the market 30 days or less for February, and 62.5% was on the market 30 days or less for March of 2024. So that means homes are sitting on the market longer than 30 days. Only 57% of them are selling within those first 30 days, and everything else is afterwards.
Yeah. So, you're still 43% are sitting on market longer than 30 days. That's a considerable amount. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, but in years past, we used to see 70, 80, 90% were flying off within 30 days.
It's still nothing crazy on a traditional.
No, but I always say if your home doesn't sell in the first 2 weeks, then
yeah,
it's going to be a longer. Luckily, I had 2 listings that sold within that weekend, which I was blessed. I had another one. Yeah, I had another one that is a new construction townhome, but it's a resale. They're still selling the homes in that community, Vertex. So I'm competing with the builder, and that's a little harder to sell than if the community was completely sold out, I think. And we're below the builder price too, and we're still having a difficult time selling. I don't think it's about the price. I think it's about the competition, and we're competing against the builder.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a waiting game there. And you got to see what is the builder doing? Are they selling a lot? Or are they kind of slow too?
They only do they have a lot of move-in, and they haven't sold any of their move-in ready since December.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's just a waiting game on that one.
Yeah.
And you can lower your price and get it done.
Yeah.
You can. But if your seller's like, hey, look, we're priced. If you're priced right and it's just a matter of time, then those are the times, folks. Those are the times that if you got the time, you take the time, and it just happens when it needs to happen. And you're going to sell before those. Generally speaking, you're going to sell before those new other standing inventory.
Hopefully.
Homes
But sometimes the builders will have other incentives, like interest rate incentives.
Keep an eye on those. Yeah.
TriPoint will have some interest rate incentives. So, but
it's our job to just go to our seller and say, hey, this is what's happening over here. So you might want to get ready to make some moves because they're trying to compete.
Right. Speaking of new construction, I had a whole things of going over new construction, but we kind of went over
a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still builders. I'll just summarize the new construction into a few sentences, right? There are still builders offering new construction incentives. You have your local players or your normal players coming to the game. Pulte still is offering. Toll Brothers has some great incentives right now. Richmond American, Century Communities, and Taylor Morrison all have incentives. If you want to learn more about what type of incentives they're offering, you can click down in the link below in the description to my blog post where I've had that summarized for you. I'm not going to get into detail, but as a buyer, new construction is still, I love my new construction. Usually if you want to get those good interest rates, that's the a route to go, but only when you buy standing inventory.
Yep. And I'm getting more emails from the builders right now, so that's another sign that
Yeah. And another thing I want to mention with new construction is they finally announced Brantley by Pulte Homes coming to the Grand Park Village. They haven't announced which floor plans they will be having. I have an idea because I went to a builder expo last year. They are going to be having a lot of their popular floor plans like the Garden Gate, the Park Lane, and they're also going to have single story and 2-story homes in that community as well. Then coming up, I just saw a sign for Carlisle, which is a Tri-Point home community over there in Grand Park. They should be posting more information soon, but Primrose Park, which is by Richmond American, and it's going to be right next to Caldwell Park in the Grand Park Village, will be opening by this quarter, hopefully in the next month or two. They're working on it. These are going to be larger luxury homes, like over 3,000 square foot homes.
Okay.
And they're probably going to start in that million range. And then what else is new? I think that's all the information for the coming soon for Summerlin right now.
Okay.
You want to, Rob, what's your thoughts about Sky Canyon? We talk a lot about Sky Canyon. Pretty much the Toll Brothers is done in there. Pulte's done in there. The only builder now in Sky Canyon is Century Communities, and they will be opening up a new area once called Sky Mesa and Skyview, I think, because they're pretty much sold out, and their Skycrest, their Marvella and Eagle Point, those are all pretty much sold out. Same with the Paloma, the Valridge, the Mont Rosa, all those Toll Brothers, they're pretty much sold out over there too. And you have a closing next month over in there, right?
Yeah.
Was it the Paloma? Or was that Valridge?
I don't remember. Paloma sounds right. Yeah.
Anyway, so for going forward for Sky Canyon, I love Sky Canyon because I love that amenity center. Oh, speaking of Sky Canyon, there is going to be a new community in the Northwest. I'm sure you guys seen in the RJ called Sky Summit.
Big community.
I've talked about it before in the past. It's right west of Sky Hills. So you have Providence, Sky Hills, then Sky Summit. They've announced in the RJ a 500 some home community. It's going to be guard gated. That's going to be Pulte. They didn't announce the builder, but that's going to be a Pulte.
Okay.
And then they're also going to have another community. Supposedly there's going to be around 3,000 homes, and it's going to be just as big as Sky Canyon. It's from the same builders as Sky Canyon, Sky Summit, Sky Hills. So it's that builder, the Olympia something companies that will be building it. So that's going to be the next big thing up there because Sky Canyon is now wrapping up the last community.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Rob?
Yeah.
Astra, you want to the next question?
Well, you said DC Sky Canyon appreciating declining. It should be doing well.
It's not going to appreciate as much as say Summerlin, but it is appreciating. It is a very desirable area, especially pretty soon they will be building one of these days that Station Casino over there.
Casino there.
And then there's going to be right on the next exit in Kyle Canyon. They're going to have a big marketplace right there as well. So I can promote Sky Canyon all day long. That's how much I like it.
Well, anytime you're talking about all that building, you're talking about anything that was prior to that building is going to continue to rise.
Exactly.
Up.
Yeah. Want to read the next one? Alice.
Alice says that's what we did.
She's.
Oh yes.
Alice.
We sold. That's right, Alice, because she did that in a very creative way. We sold her house in Cali and we bought in Lake Las Vegas. Oh, congratulations!
You didn't use us.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Elise.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, congratulations though, and it sounds like you got hightailed it out of there right on time.
Yeah, I like Taylor Morrison. They're a good builder. Oh, speaking of Taylor Morrison, I think I mentioned it. They will be having a 55 plus community in La Madre Peaks Village starting early next year.
Okay.
And they're going to be similar to the same floor plans as Ashland. They're going to have 1,500 square foot to some bigger floor plans.
Okay.
So that's exciting because I've never seen a 55 plus retirement community by
Taylor Morrison.
Taylor Morrison.
Yeah.
Yep. Tinkerbell, hi, Angela and Rob. Thanks for the updates. Would love to see more. Giving you to the thumbs up. Thanks, Tinkerbell.
Stick with us on our channels.
Yeah.
Plenty more.
I'm sorry, but love you all. Yeah, I don't blame you because we don't really sell too much in like Las Vegas, so we'll let it slide. But anytime you want to sell it and buy again, think of us.
Yes, we're ready for you.
Just kidding. All right, now let's get into our bets and wrap this bad boy up.
What are we going? We're going one of the longest ever here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of I don't know why you went. I think you went first last time. Let me look at my notes. I have it on my notes. Yeah, you went first.
Okay.
So
I know you did. You put the star there.
I put it star twice. I don't know why.
All
right. So medium price, Rob hit the nail on the head. He said it was going to be flat to the prior month.
I couldn't remember what I said. I was like, I think I got close, but
I said $1,000 increase and it was flat. So you did well. Now you went first last time. Now it's my turn to go first. And I'm scared.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
I'm scared. Well, you know, I have been very busy in April, as you know. I have 8 closings this month. I still think March was very strong and busy, and we had that momentum before the whole crash thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same that I say at least $1,000 increase.
Okay. Well, I mean, you made it. This is probably why it's easy for me now. I'm just going to go with flat because I do think we're going to see a slight drop, but I think it's still going to remain pretty. You know, the buyers that are buying are buying, you know, nice properties,
right?
And they're not. It doesn't seem to be quite the deal shopping just yet.
I just have to say 1,000 increase just to stick with what I said in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Because it is that time of year. We did have more sales in March. I think April's still going to be a very strong sale, even though we are getting more listings.
Yeah.
It's a toss. It could be very well be flat. And that would be kind of crazy to have 4 months in a row of flatness. But I'm just going to say increase.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that you got going for you is the volume. When there's not a lot of volume and there's a good sales are there, then, you know, a lot of these springtime buyers are looking for the good properties. They're going to spend what they need to buy them. So.
All right. So without offers, Rob said 5,300. I said 5,200 and it was actually 5,416. So you won that one. Now, what do you think the without offers is going to be this time around?
I'll go 5,650.
Okay.
And that might, I don't know.
I was going to say, sorry, I can't see when I have to be close up. So 5,650. I'm going to say 5,650. We did see 200 home increase from the prior month. If you keep on that trajectory, it's going to increase by another 200. So I'm going to say 5,600. All right. I'm going to price right you.
I was really trying to put a number that would be difficult for you to get around. So I think I did my job.
Yep.
We'll see how that lands.
Months of supply, Rob said 3.4 months. I said 3.1, and it was actually 2.5, which we think that's an error. But I actually won that one. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to say 2.9.
Okay. Well, just to make it interesting, I'll keep it at 3.4.
Okay. Alrighty.
And see if we get some landing in the middle there where we have to actually decipher who won it. You know, like,
yeah. Who was
closer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we really, really, really love when you guys interact with us. It keeps the exciting, you know, keeps us on our toes with the questions that you ask.
Interject some, like, you know, surprise. We don't know what's coming, and you know, we can veer off on different directions. That's fun for us.
Yeah, that's the only problem is we veer off and go a little longer, but that's okay.
we did. But
if there are no more questions, we're going to conclude this market update. If you are thinking about buying or selling in the Las Vegas Valley, you know who to call. Down in the description below, I have posted both Rob and I's information. Reach out to either of us. We would love to help you out. Any other final words?
YouKnowHow.com. That's me.
Yep.
Thank you, Ange, for having me again, as usual. And but really, I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for all the comments. Today was a wonderful surprise to have so much activity in that area.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Rock on.
And do it peacefully. And we'll see you on the next one. 5 years. Can't believe